Hello and welcome back to another session of serde-yaml. It's Byron speaking. In the previous session, we have laid the basic infrastructure for the new way of handling structures like sequences and mappings. And we started implementing the sequence structure here, which could already be correct. But if we look at it, I mean, there are a few things that I don't like so much. So first, we have an empty vector here, but it's very, very likely that for each structure that we have at least have one mapping and maybe some nesting going on. And this basically forces us on the first push to allocate memory, and then on the second push to probably reallocate memory. And this is something we can easily prevent by saying, well, let's just overlocate a little, because we are just allocating a few bytes here anyway. Because this is just holding a very simple enum, which probably has 4 bytes or less, or maybe 8 bytes. But that's 80 bytes here on the heap, and that will prevent plenty of reallocations for most structures that we are going to serialize, because that would be enough for a nesting level of 10, right? And that's I think already a relatively special or relatively complex YAML file that won't happen most of the time. So this basically means one alloc and we are good. So the next thing, if we look at what we output here, then we see that there are actually plenty of new lines, and lots of stuff happening in the thread for floating point handling in Rust. Anyway, what you see here is a new line that actually shouldn't be there. And the reason why this happens is that right now we kind of look at this all the time, which basically means that if we had something beforehand, we need a new line for block mode, right? This is what the logic says in this case, which is true. But if we didn't have anything, we don't need a new line. So it's mainly like we would need to keep track of whether or not we have done anything beforehand, right? And this first, I will just, maybe I don't, self first. Let's specialize it a bit more. First is used to signify if we should print a comma when we are walking through a sequence. First sequence element. This is more like what this first means. Self first. First sequence element. So ELT is kind of used here everywhere. So that's now this, right? First sequence element. And we don't even need to make it a doc string because it's not documented anyway, because that is private here. Nonetheless, let's have another one that means first item or something. Or the first item we are serializing. So this would start with true. And if we do anything, we would set this to false. And this would be only relevant to So let's think about it. This would be only relevant to a few things that we could print here or that we could serialize. So I don't even think that our standard string or whatever needs to set this, because they wouldn't care, I think. No, they wouldn't care. Let's just have something like first element for first item. Let's do it like this. Signals that, I don't like that so much because it's so similar to this one and has kind of a different meaning. empty document is empty document signals that we still have to serialize something. There was no call to anything that would fill the document yet. It's used to keep track of the first line break, or it's used to help putting a line break, a first line break only if needed. Something like that. And yeah, maybe there's another way. We have a stack. And in the stack code, where we set our increment and stuff, that's where we, I think we need this. I wouldn't find a way around this right now. So it starts empty, obviously. And if we begin a document, then self is empty document is false because we will write it now. We could even do this after we've written something, but I think it's safer to do it here. Otherwise we are in some sort of nested structure, which is harder to understand when it's written or not. So, oh wait, no. If we don't write, we have to do it here. And the YAML directive. What's the start and what's the YAML direct? Oh, that's the prefix, right? Yeah, so in any case, if we are here, we can say that this is not an empty document anymore. And the same goes in the moment we open anything, but this is also something we add later. End document, well, we don't care about that anymore. So it's really only relevant here. So at the end of this, we are clearly not empty anymore. And now we should be able to use this as a flag to see, well, if is empty document, then we actually do nothing. Otherwise, we print a new line here. And now, of course, we want to get the formatting better. I think come on. Yeah, that's how that would look like, huh? It's not that I like it. I could have additional parentheses, which are not really required, but that way the indentation would look better. I think that's how it looks best for now, from what I have seen. Okay, so if it's an empty document, then we have no line break. Does this also affect this one here? I think no. There we just don't care. Even though we might have to. I think we need at least a space here for safety. Yeah, I think this is what we need. We are in prefix mode, not to forget that. So whatever happens kind of has to assume that something is in front of it. But wait. I think it's the same as with the line break. Shit. So if something is... Yeah, it's the same thing. So either... yeah, if it's an empty document, we don't need a space before. Oh, gee, see? It's more complicated than we thought. Also, we are kind of using static strings here, which is more efficient. But also, yeah, well, let's just do it. So if it's an empty document, we do it like that. Otherwise, we assume there's something in front of it. And we want to have a space. And in the moment we encode a scalar. I'm just thinking if this is necessary or not to write this value all the time. We start mappings, then we're not empty anymore. If you have a document, if you start a document, we're not empty anymore. If we write something. Yeah, I think that could be it. I would be fine with that for now. Yeah, good. So that is that. Let's see. Now we should have something that is a bit closer to what we need if that compiles. 168. 168. Yeah. Let's do it like this. So then we can keep the return value, which is the intention of that code. That does something. So now we got rid of one new line here, which is good. And the next thing we want is to handle the scalar printing. So now the scalar needs to take care of, hey, I am within a mapping right now. So how does this work normally? We have this colon, right? And colon is used visit enum sequence, visit sequence element, visit enum sequence. So we open, yeah, that's not here, visit sequence element. Here's where it happens. We open, yeah, so this is something we are looking at now. Empty, yeah, I think we are good saying that empty ones should always be this. And we want to use encode here, right? So let's do this right away. So encode ASCII, not self writer, and then we have self opts, borrow, format encoding. And last but not least, the thing we want to print here, and that shall be. So the thing is that this thing could very well be at the beginning of a document, but it could also be here. So if we just imagine we have a mapping here with a value okay, so that's a string then. So we really need this space. And right now we are in prefix mode. And we kind of assume that, well, by default, yeah, look at that. So this opened a mapping which said, yeah, I think even this code needs to take care of if we are first in the document. Because right now we are in prefix mode, so we would have to say, well, we just add the prefix that we require ourselves, right? This is what we do right now. We could also say, well, after a colon, there always needs to be a space, which kind of puts us in suffix mode for this specific case. And how do we do it with encode scalar? Do we put any? Look, we enforce a space here because we are in prefix mode. So here we are basically set up to add the spaces as we need them and only if we need them, which makes sense. So I think in this specific case, we will have to use an if clause to do it as we always do it. And we might want to have a little helper function that does that. So either we use a line break or not, or we use a space prefix or not. But if we have a helper function, damn it. I can't imagine a macro that would work, nor can I imagine a function that would work that gets around heap allocation. Maybe this would work if we would have some buffer that we can reuse. But even that we don't have right now. We will need it when we start to encode strings and stuff. But for now we can actually, just hard code it here. So if self is empty document, then we can do it like that. Or we put a space in front. So now this empty case is handled correctly and we should just be fine. Voila. One video ready to be uploaded. That is that. Good. So here we are. And now this case here. So we open a sequence. And then, look at that. And then we visit visitor. Where is that coming in? Sequence visitor. Then we visit ourselves. Basically, as long as this guy has something to visit. Okay. So this iterates over our elements and calls recursively whatever needs to be called there. Makes sense. Yeah, so this is the value we are actually seeing here. It's interesting that the visit calls are under control. I mean, it's a good thing that the visit calls are under control of the visitor. I mean, no, of the serializer. That's actually cool. This way we can basically implement anything. So this just goes through it, depletes it basically. And is there anything we would want to do here? No, we handled the open case correctly. And then visit sequence element. This is now where the comma handling comes into play. The comma handling is only relevant. And where do we set this to true, by the way? Visit sequence element, I think in open mode, huh? Yeah, here we set it to true, I see. This is something that we could also handle here now. But as long as it's just one place where this happens, which is not the case, we would be true. Oh, look at that, visit sequence element. Because this is also relevant for mappings, actually. Okay, so this shows us that we want to put this thing into the open clause. Definitely so. And we want to rename it, obviously, to visit structure, first structure element. So this is now true here. We are in open, so this is always handling a structure of some kind. So we can set it. And let's see where else we handle this. First, did I rename it? Yeah. So visit map element. Here it's being set to false, that's correct. Oh yeah, and this first here is only required, damn it, to get rid of a borrow checker issue. Yeah, let's put it around so that we show that this first is actually not relevant to anything. Workaround, borrow, check. This is annoying. This is hell of an annoying issue here. But anyway, so that's correct. We only set it to false here, right? Because the open and close, they don't know that kind of stuff. So in the sequence, we set it to, yeah, true is not what we want. We would set it to false. I think this happens in the visit sequence element. Yeah, so we do the same thing here. There we set it to false. Okay. And we are done with that. Good. So I think the sequences we might have set up correctly now. So let's try an empty sequence. Let's just verify a few things here, a few code paths. Yeah, so let v be just an empty thing. An empty, yeah, we just say it's a U8 or whatnot, doesn't matter. But we have to say it, otherwise the type inference would probably not work because it doesn't know what's contained in this thing. So we have an empty array, and if we print that, I would expect this. But if we set our options to show the document, ops document indicator style is start end. Ugh, come on. I think this none here is actually the YAML header thing that we don't use right now, but it's implemented. Oops. So now we want to have this thing in start mode. And if we do this again, I would expect a space here. And this is really what we just implemented. This is the empty sequences with or without document start. This is what we have to take care for. Oops. Incompatible if L. Oh, no way. Haha. Where is that? I think it's here. No, wait. It's here. In 348. Yeah, so here it doesn't know what we expect, right? So we have to. It's interesting. I didn't think that this boils down to being an array for him. So maybe if we do that, it will be coerced, blah, blah, into a slice. Oh no. Look, it's a borrow. What we have here is a borrowed array. And in order to get this into a slice, we would have to do it like that, right? And then we would have to borrow it again. Like this. So that is what we would have to do to get a slice of this thing. Oh. Cannot be dereferenced. Oh, I want to dereference it here. Very smart. I meant that. And then, oh yeah, we have a have to deal with the result here. So that should be an IO result, which it now is. Previously, we kind of made it unit accidentally. So that should be that. Cool. Yeah, sure, we fail at the first spot here, but maybe we can put this in front. Like this. We might actually want to start with a new one here, just for the fun of it, just to reset it. So what do you say now? Now we should end up at the same area. That's good. But we know that a few things actually worked. We could, why not? Test empty sequence. This is something I like even more. I don't usually like this preamble that is required to get anything to work, this stuff, because it's kind of duplicated code. But on the other hand, we are quite good in that regard. We only need two things. We need options that we might have to manipulate. We need a value and then one line to do the testing for us. And I think that's kind of okay. That's unit tests, how they are, right? And once it gets too duplicate, we will obviously have macros or generic functions to help us with that. 26 minutes in. We are a bit further now. And I think the next thing we would need is to let encode scalar help us a bit. Visit sequence. So far, it's clear. Visit sequence element. So now we know that we are within a sequence, and this visit sequence element is the thing that needs to handle this somehow. So the comma we want to put if we are not first. That's okay, and this is handled by the comma method automatically. This also will deal with new lines or with line breaks, I think. So here we should be good. The comma stuff is settled. But let's do this. First, this indentation stuff is also in there, and right now this is not handled at all. Well, let's say it's still the JSON version, and I didn't yet figure out how to do that correctly. In YAML, I just put it to the back of the queue of things to do, because so far we didn't really need it. Now we kind of do. So let's call it element separator, because this is really what we do here. Element separator is either a sequence element or place a separator suitable for sequences or mappings based on the current structure and the presentation options. Just a second, need to open the window. This is what we do. So it's it's ELT, right? We can call it ELT separator. ELT sep. Comma should now be ELT sep, because this is really how we use it. It's not necessarily a comma now, right? This is why we have to change that. So this is something I don't do, right? Basically have all this repeated. What I would do is get a variable that contains whatever we return here, a slice of something, and then I would write that in one go, right? Instead of having all the write code duplicated, which also contains a macro that inserts a lot of extra code to do the return value checking. So yeah, this is something we will change right away. Also, the new line handling must be changed. It seems it will always add a new line here, which is something we also wouldn't do. This is depending on our line break handling stuff that right now we don't even have, right? And the indentation is also something we don't yet have. I would just keep this code and adjust it later. It's good that it's called indent. We can easily find that wherever it's used, so I don't see any problem with that. Good. So, long story short, if we are in flow mode, so first we have to see what kind of thing we have, mapping or a sequence. So, and we assume that we have at least one thing. I mean, we can just assume that the index checking will, on the stack, the index checking will be done automatically for us because we are in Rust and array access is never unchecked. Is there something like vec last that I can use, or do I have to do it using the length of the thing? Let's see. Show me your interface. Push pop, yeah, drain clear is empty, map in place, split, resize, push, dedup. First, tail. Yeah, init, last. Look at that. And that's what deref does? That's probably also containing all the index access stuff, huh? Split, position, binary search, sort by, permutations. Interesting. To vec into vec. Where's the... here's the index. This is a separate trait that it implements there. Okay, so what I want is last, and last will provide me with an optional T, an optional reference. And here we can also say we expect what we expect. So let's do that. So we match on self stack last expect open must have been called. And now we have a structure kind. So we can say structure kind sequence. Oh yeah, and we have to deref it, right? Because this is a borrow. Structure kind sequence. And is this... Oh yeah, we do this only to get the respective options, right? Because we don't really care. The only thing we care about is the options. So let's return them. Self opts borrow sequence details. Yeah. And structure kind mapping, then we want the self opts borrow. Mapping details. Oh no, that's a different kind. That's a different type here. Damn it. Wait, what are we interested in? The only thing we're interested in is the flow mode, right? So we could, the style. So mapping details. Structure. So that's structure details. Explicit block entries. We also don't care about that. Yeah, I don't think we care about that. Explicit block entries, that kind of puts or requires us to put the thing into flow mode. Is it flow mode then? I mean, explicit block entries, they look like that. Where is it? Here. So that's explicit block entries. Look, that's flow mode here. And the only difference is in flow mode that the new line is not required, or that the white space is not so relevant anymore. Yeah, that is that. The thing is, right now this is separate. So explicit requires flow mode in a way. And right now it would be possible to say, well, we want to have block mode, but still have explicit block entries, which is contradicting each other. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now is that here we will be dependent on whether we are in block or in flow mode, even though in mapping, when we deal with mappings, this does matter. So structure details, explicit tag is also something we do not care about. Structure style. I think in the end it boils down to structure style. Yeah, and there we have a simple enum. So let's do this. So I think the logic I can put here. Let style be this. Sequence details. See, and now we can say, well, style. Details style. But if we are in explicit mapping mode, right? So here we need a more complex query. So if mapping details explicit mapping entry, then we always want to have a particular style, which is block. Otherwise, we can return details style. Where is it? Here. Yeah. And otherwise, we just hard-code it to be structure style flow. Right. No. Actually, the opposite is true. So after each entry, we would call the separator. Look, and if we are in flow mode, damn it, it's kind of a mix of both. Let's put this in. Let's play around with it a little, because this is kind of a mix. We need a comma, and we need a new line. And right now, the only thing we do is a comma or a new line. The new line we need in block mode, which would be like this. See, that's invalid. Oh, damn it. Yeah, I think I would rather have flow explicit or something, which only matters in mapping mode, unfortunately. Yeah. Because if we have a sequence here, then we would do it like that. And then we have this, and this, and this. And we need commas here. Like that. These commas are now, wait, maybe I'm getting this wrong. Okay. So comma new line occurs here as well, but we could also drop the new line. And now I wonder, maybe this has to do with line break. Maybe this is a property of the line break that I'm seeing and not a property of the particular explicit mapping entry style. So what happens if I put this thing here? Ah, still works. So that's the line break thing. Awesome. Good. So it's a comma. So long story short, the mode then will be flow. I hope this works in terms of borrowing and stuff. And that is here. This is a comma. This is an assignment. Yeah. So that should be fine. We should now get the style here without an issue. And this is the kind of logic that we need to worry about later as well. Always, whenever we do anything, we need to worry about this. But the cool thing is that anything else, that if we are in flow mode, the line break stuff is really an option of how we deal with line breaks in general, which right now we don't do at all. Right now we don't put line breaks, except for the code that does it, that is old and still dealing with JSON stuff. Yeah, so let's see if that compiles. Oops, attended Excel field, explicit mapping entry on type, mapping details. Explicit block entries. Is it called explicit block entries? Is this the term? Explicit block mapping entries, yes. That's how it's called. Oh. I was looking at the wrong thing, right? Uh-oh. I think I'm still not getting it right. Explicit block key empty value. Oh, damn it. Because key So that is totally unrelated. Yeah, well, that's good. I guess that's good then, because that simplifies the matter. Yeah, I think then we don't have to take care of that at all. Then we are either in flow mode or not in this explicit block mapping entry. The thing is, it's not related to block entries, right? If we look, that's kind of the confusion here. Because we can have flow mode, which is not a block mapping, and still use it. See this? This is the same thing. This is explicit mapping entries. So let's rename this. This is a misnomer, even in the spec. And we don't have to care about that. This really just relates to the way we handle keys. And if we are in block mode, then of course new lines have to be used. Otherwise, it's commas. All right, so let's roll that back. That's good. Blah, 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 remove. Here we go. So now we have our style. Mapping details, style, yeah. And now we can decide what we want to do with it. Yeah, so if we are the first one, we do not add a comma. Then we only add, well, the new line stuff we also don't do. It's basically if not first, huh? In our case. Yeah, it's more like that. Encode ASCII. Mud self writer. then self opts borrow, format, encoding. And here we go with a beautiful comma, which does not require a space. We are in prefix mode. Oh. Yeah, I guess I have to take this. Well, that was a long break. That was totally unintended. I had to help my grandpa to fix his Windows installation, and it was pure pain. I can still feel the pain. Anyway, now it's done. And I have to find my way back into this thing. So the indentation stuff I will just leave as it is right now. Also, indentation is something we only want to do if we have a new line in there. Otherwise, we do not. So let's just say, well, it's also depending on the style, right? So if we have the flow style, let's match it. Let's have a separator that is depending on a match of the style, which is a borrow. So now we have structure style block. In block style, we want to have a new line there, which is the line break, right? And I guess, again, just to signal what as ref should yield, we do it like that. So self opts borrow, format, line break as ref. So that's clear, right? If this is a new line, in block mode, this needs to be a new line no matter what. And then we want to have indentation as well. And only then. And I have no idea how to do this, except for having two calls here. Right now, my idea was to just wait a moment. The comma thing. Yeah, true. If it's not first, we do something. Otherwise, we don't. Considering that we do not do anything anyway, we could also just say, well, if it's first, then do nothing, right? This is really all we have to do here. Return OK. We are done. So now all that's left should be this. And yeah, it's more like two different calls here. So let's not do that. So in block mode, we might have to do some indentation here. Otherwise, we will print this as ref thing. This line break, like that. Encode ASCII. Type inference will do its job here. This shall be, this is the new line, and now we can go with the indentation. I will just drop this right here, hoping that it has the right signature and will just work. That is the return value of this clause here. And in structure style flow. Yeah, there's actually just one thing we have to do, which is, should I put it here? Maybe. Which is encode ASCII, and then we put a comma there. And eventually we will have to deal with line breaks, but right now we don't do that. We just put the line breaks that need to be there, like in block mode, but anything else is something like line breaks after comma is something we take care of later. This is kind of the intention right now. So here we go. That also looks funny, does it? Yeah, let's give it a full-blown bracket thing here, full-blown bracket case, like that. And I'm quite happy to see this. So here we need a try. Oh, come on. Damn it. Oh, what did I do? I think I messed it up. Okay. So here we have a try now. That will do the right thing, and this is the return value of this case. To get the indentation, just assuming that it kind of works the way it worked in JSON mode, which we, just assume for now. No indentation handling, as far as I'm concerned, not now. We will get there. I just want to focus on this single, we have lock mode and we have flow mode thing. And yeah, in flow mode, what do we do? No, wait, I think we are mixing things up. No, wait. Oh, I copied this, huh? I was just wondering, because in fact, I want a comma here. And that is that. Nothing more. The new line or the spaces are handled by the values anyway, so we don't do this. We are in prefix mode, so yeah, this should be totally right. Should be totally cool. Oh no, wait. And we are in prefix mode, so we have to put the space here. Yes. This is that. Okay, and that's also the return value of this case. In theory, that will work. Element separator. Let's build it for now just to see if it actually compiles. Intended access of field. Explicit mapping and didn't I fix this already? Oh no, wait, I'm reading the wrong one. We're here. As ref, cannot resolve line break as ref. Interesting. 1 to 5. Why can it not? Encode ASCII. I mean, this takes. This is why. As ref explicitly is not required, because we already take an as ref there, so this shall be inferred. Oh. Format line break. Does it mean we have to do this? Yes. Awesome. Cool. So tell me, does it work now or work better? All right, we have two nulls here, right? And this is just the separator between them. So null here, and then there's nothing. I wonder where this extra space is coming from. We might figure this out. The thing is that encode scalar will now need some additional handling here. To realize, well, you now have to prefix a dash at least. And no space required. No, wait. This new line. This new line is supposed to be. Yeah, what if we do not hide the values just for the fun of it? Here we go. Show. Where do I assert that show is set? Here I do that. Oh no, here I set it. Let's set it here as well, just to see what actually is happening here. Yeah, so here we will have a dash. So I don't know where this space is coming from. We have 3 spaces here. That's probably. Yeah, we are in block style. I think that's the indentation, huh? Maybe we remove that for now. Yeah, so I think that is where that is coming from. Must be, huh? No, oh yeah. Now this try is not required anymore. And that is that. The null here, oh, the space before the null. Yeah, true. Let's finish this. Let's see if we can do this quickly. So now in the scalar handler, encode scalar, opt style. Yeah, we get the scalar details, and now we would have to check if we are within a mapping or if we are. Yeah, so in a mapping, there are two calls to this, or either we are a key or we are a value. But in a sequence, actually, maybe this guy shouldn't take care of that. Maybe this guy, maybe the sequence element thing should take care of that, because otherwise this guy would have to know more than is included in its scalar details. So right now, the only thing it needs to know is the encoding stuff, which I think is clean. Yeah. So let's look at the element visit sequence element thing, because this guy should probably deal with the prefix. So visit sequence element. So this is where the value is serialized, and here is where we would have to check if we are in a, well, if we are in block mode, right? So we have to check the block mode style. We know that we are in a sequence, so there's no need to check the stack. Where do I check the stack, by the way? In element separator. Yeah, because this guy is right now called for both. We might wanna improve this to be either a sequence separator or a map separator, because this handling here is something we only have to do, and the stack we have to keep. There's something we only have to do because we work the way we work. I think there's also something we want to put onto our to-do list. This is kind of the old API, right, that we kind of suffer from right now. This should, yeah, if this would be specific to sequence ELTs and mapping ELTs respectively, we would not have to maintain a stack of structures anymore. Probably. Something we want to review at this point. But here, all we have to do is check the style of our self opts borrow sequence details style, just to verify, just to see if we are in block mode. If we are in block mode, we have to prefix with a dash. Yeah. And then this should work well with the prefix, with the space prefix that the null or the scalars do anyway. Yeah, that's it. So structure style block. And it's more like an if-let, because we do not care in the other about the other case. Yeah, the other case, yeah, we don't care about it. So that is that. And then we say encode ASCII, mat self writer, self opts borrow, format encoding. And last but not least, a byte string with a dash. The space comes from the value that follows. Good. So in theory, this should now be closer to what we need. Oh yeah, and we should try it. Unused results which must be used. So now we have exactly what we want, except that there is an extra new line which would result in an extra comma, which is something that I would have expected to not happen. Or is it sequence element? Open sequence. Here this triggers the visiting stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. Is there a way for us to determine if it's the last one? Visitor lang. Yeah, so I could probably count this. I wonder how this worked. Oh no, wait. I don't know where the new line is coming from. But I do know that this is a prefix, right? This separator here is always a prefix. And I think yeah, I don't know where that is coming from here. I have no idea. What if we, for fun, wouldn't print this? Maybe there's a new line in any way. Did I not save this? Interesting. So I just thought I wouldn't call this, but it still was called. What? Oh yeah, that's a mapping element. Maybe I was on the wrong spot here. Sequence element. Did I not hide the right one? Yeah, okay, good. So as we thought. So this new line here comes from somewhere else. I don't know from where though. Must be a line break though, huh? So it's not this one. Maybe it's something that happens on close, maybe. Yeah. No, but close is something we didn't even... Yeah, probably it happens on close, huh? Close we didn't change yet. And yeah, here's a new line. And this is even old already, or still. So this new line, let's remove it. Because when we open a document, what happens? Or begin a document. Then we enforce a line break, but only after. Oh no, that's the YAML directive. And here we do not enforce a line break because we don't need it technically. Yeah, we are in prefix mode, right? So we shouldn't have, I mean, I always repeat this to myself. We are in prefix mode just so that I realize that close definitely shouldn't write anything. Unless we know that this is necessary, but right now it's just not the case. Good. So now I can basically put this back here and say, well, we don't want to show them. And then we should have exactly the right output. Voila. And that is that. That should conclude this session. Yeah, that's just feature ser block mode for sequences. First test for sequence block mode works. However, even though more complex testing would be required to be sure. Yeah, this is really just the first start, and this well, part of it works. I thought we have fixed the Travis to only run the unit tests. Yes, so we can run the unit tests here as well without feeling bad. Yeah, more work to be done on this one. What else did we do? Yeah, it's pretty much that. Nothing to add here. Not that I would see it now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day.